Hey guys, so today we are talking about my favorite piece by Berlioz. This is the piece that made me fall in love with him, and it is by far his most favorite piece. This is the Dream Symphony, or Symphonie Fantastique. Sorry, my hair is going to get everywhere. It's fine. This symphony was part of a trend going on, especially in France in the 1830s, called idea fixe, or fixed idea. And it's basically that you would take one person or place or just any idea, and you would write some kind of large work just all about that specific thing. And you might write like a specific melody that represented that person or thing, and you would bring that back throughout the symphony or throughout whatever big work you were writing. And so that's what Berlioz did with this. And the idea that he was kind of fixated on was this Irish actress named Harriet Smithson. He saw her in a Shakespeare play in 1828 and fell in love with her immediately. Tried to contact her, and she was kind of like, I'm too famous for you and I'm not talking to you. And trust me, it works out, okay? So Berlioz eventually wrote and premiered the first movement in 1830, so about 2 years after that. He invited Harriet to the premiere. She did not attend, and the audience really didn't like his work. They were kind of like, this isn't that great. Where's the rest of it? But he was determined to make this symphony a success, and so then he went back and he wrote the second movement for the Prix de Rome. It's an award and a scholarship that allows musicians from the Paris Conservatory to go and study in Rome for 2 years. So he wrote the second movement for that contest, won, and then went and studied in Rome for 2 years. While he was there in Italy, he wrote the third, fourth, and fifth movements, so it's a little bit longer than other symphonies at the time. By the time he finished in 1832, Harriet was no longer very successful. She wasn't making very much money. She had bills to pay. So when Berlioz invited her to the second premiere of the whole thing in 1832, she accepted and showed up. It was a huge success. Harriet agreed to finally meet Berlioz and talk to him. And the symphony kind of tells a story, which you can look up on your own with a parent's permission. It has some scary stuff in it, so I'm not going to talk about it here. But if you have a parent's permission, then you can look up the storyline. But Hector and Harriet start acting out the storyline to this. They start kind of making it a reality. And while they're doing this, Berlioz pulls out a vial of poison and he drinks it, and Harriet starts freaking out, right? And so in this craze, she agrees to marry him. She goes, fine, I'll marry you. And he conveniently pulls the antidote, the anti-poison, out of his other pocket, drinks that, and he's fine. But by that point, she's already agreed to marry him. They did get married about a year later in 1833. They eventually separated. It didn't last, but they remained really good friends, and they're actually buried together. So when Berlioz finally died, he was buried next to her. So they stayed very good friends. And it's just really like a wild and dramatic story that Symphonie Fantastique shows. I'm giving you guys the fourth movement. The fourth movement's by far the most interesting because Berlioz says that it occurred to him in a dream, that he was having a dream, and the whole story of the symphony kind of appeared to him, and throughout this dream, the fourth movement was playing, and he woke up and wrote the whole thing down, and that's how he came up with the fourth movement. Now, we have no way of knowing if that's actually true, but it does make for a pretty good story, and it is the most famous part of the symphony. So this is the fourth movement of Symphonie Fantastique. I hope you guys enjoy it, and I hope that you've really loved learning about Berlioz. He's my all-time favorite, super interesting, and I just hope you guys have really enjoyed him. Bye!